The Legend of Zelda is one of the most definitive series in all of gaming. Its legacy has spanned for over 35 years and has no signs of stopping. It's a series that works both as a way to get kids into more difficult games, but also as a way to challenge adults who really enjoy puzzles and adventure and combat. Vast explorable worlds that demand your time and attention, and a narrative that is one of the longest running and most epic in gaming history. And everybody has the moment when they got into the series, be it with the 2D games, the N64 games. My first experience with Zelda was with the Nintendo GameCube games, specifically The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. I'm sure many of you remember those little gaming demo kiosks that they had at Toys R Us and Target. It was a big TV high above controllers that kids could play demos of games on. Some places still have them, but they are a lot more compact compared to what they used to be. Or maybe I just got taller, who knows. Either way, my brother and I would play these demos a lot whenever we went to these specific stores. And while the game we mostly played together was Mario Kart Double Dash because it was the one we could play together, there was also a demo for The Wind Waker. And I always remembered it was the very first dungeon of the game, Dragon Roost Island, and you got to fight a few monsters, so that was exciting for me. Ooh, I get to stab monsters. But then when my folks got me the game, I realized that there's a lot more to Zelda than just hacking and slashing. I was that kind of kid that unless I had a specific arrow telling me where to go in a 3D game, I had no idea what to do. Because of this, I never actually beat The Wind Waker when I was little. It kinda just sort of faded away from memory. I thought about it from time to time, especially whenever Twilight Princess promotions started up or one of the DS Zelda games were making the cycles, but I never actively thought about Zelda again until I was in around middle school. Every once in a while, my dad would get a copy of Nintendo Power for me and my brother to read because we were really interested in Wii games, specifically like Wii Sports and things like that, the motion control gimmick games. But I remember during reading one of these particular issues, there was a segment, I believe, talking about either The Legend of Zelda as a whole, or the character of Ganondorf. Either way, they reference the fact that Ganondorf dies by getting stabbed in the freaking forehead at the end of the game. Now, of course, being a middle schooler at the time, that kind of violence piqued my interest. I looked up Let's Plays of the full game so I could understand what the heck happened and how he got to that point. I remember mostly watching Sugar Conroy's series about The Wind Waker, and just watching every single episode all the way to the finale, and feeling to myself, you know what? I want to beat this for myself. So I hunkered down, popped the Wind Waker disc into my Wii, and actually played through and beat the entirety of Wind Waker. From there, I wasn't exactly a big Zelda fan, but I was happy to say I could beat one of my favorite childhood games. Then when Skyward Sword promotions started ramping up, I started getting excited, but not as a Zelda fan, as a motion control gimmick fan. The sword fighting game in Wii Sports Resort was and still is one of my favorite minigames on the Wii, so the prospect of an entire adventure game based around swinging one-to-one sword controls was really exciting to me. I still remember the day I got it. I wasn't planning on getting it anytime soon, I thought maybe as a Christmas gift or something, but after church one Sunday, my dad and I walked into a local GameStop. I went to the demo kiosk to try the game out, and while I was doing so, my dad went to the counter and got the collector's edition of Skyward Sword. The one that came with the Golden Zelda Wiimote. I still have it to this day. I was shooketh, to say the least. And I loved the game, I beat it, and then I started getting an itch. I wanted to play more Zelda games. I found the Twilight Princess Wii version for 20 bucks not too long after that, so I played that. I started finding some of the handheld Zelda games. My folks got me Ocarina of Time 3D when that came out for the 3DS. And then, of course, the first big Zelda game that I got to be excited for as a Zelda fan, Breath of the Wild. And now we're here, waiting for a few more months before we can get our hands on the newest installment, Tears of the Kingdom. And I have to tell you, I am hyped for that game. But why did The Legend of Zelda stick with me? By comparison to my favorite series of all time, Kingdom Hearts, it's a lot slower, the story's nowhere near as connected, and it's a bit more exploration heavy as I would normally like my games to be. I have tried my darndest to get into games like Skyrim, but for the life of me, I can't get into those games. I normally have a hard time with large open worlds that demand exploration because I want things to happen right then and there. But with Zelda? I honestly probably would have explored Breath of the Wild's Hyrule for weeks on end before even attempting the final boss, because I was having so much fun exploring the world and getting lost in the exploration aspect. And the answer to that question, I personally believe, is I've just had better experiences with Zelda, not just in terms of gameplay, but also with friends. I have a ton of great memories of not just discussing The Legend of Zelda and the games with my friends, but also going to the concerts. The Legend of Zelda Symphony of the Goddesses concert actually made its way through Columbus one time, and I actually got to go with one of my best friends, and it was a blast. Different iterations of Zelda meant different things to me, and that affected me across different portions of my life. Wind Waker was a childhood game, Skyward Sword was a fun high school game, Twilight Princess signaled the beginning of me getting more and more interested in more adult and challenging games, and Breath of the Wild was a game that I was able to immerse myself in to distract from a really tough situation at the time, which I will talk about eventually. They're simple yet complex and intriguing games. Amazing puzzles, amazing story, amazing exploration. And that just resonated with me more than most other big-name AAA games have. Link being the silent protagonist that the player can project themselves onto in all of the games doesn't make me relate to him as much as I do a character like Sora. However, by that same virtue, by having a character that is an empty slate that the player can project themselves onto, even though I always default to the name Link instead of giving my own name or going with a name that is completely goofy, it still feels like I'm helping along on the adventure of the hero. Each of these games is a grand adventure that I'm always excited to either embark on for the first time or again. Even though I might not have as much of a personal connection to The Legend of Zelda as I do to Kingdom Hearts, I still have a lot of love for this series because each individual game has meant something at different points in my life, which is something that Kingdom Hearts doesn't necessarily have. I fell in love with Kingdom Hearts because the story connected to me, but I experienced it at different moments and had to catch up with the overall story before Kingdom Hearts 3. I fell in love with The Legend of Zelda on multiple different occasions, and it's for all those individual reasons that I listed earlier for each of the games. And with Tears of the Kingdom on the horizon, I'm intrigued to see where my life will be when that game finally comes out. But we have a ways to go, so we might as well take a journey. Starting a week from today, I'm going to be posting the first episode of a new series I'm titling Journey to Tears of the Kingdom. Title pending. But I'm going to be playing some of my most nostalgic and favorite Legend of Zelda games as we get ready for the release of Tears of the Kingdom. I know this video might seem a bit slim compared to my Why I Love Kingdom Hearts video, but that's mostly because, like I said, I have a lot more individual memories with each of the games rather than the series as a whole. And don't get me wrong, I love The Legend of Zelda. But compared to Kingdom Hearts, I haven't played all of the Zelda games because, well, there are some of them that I don't have as much of an attachment to, nor do I have the interest. As much as people rave about A Link to the Past, I've never really played it that much because I never grew up with the 2D Zeldas, and when I have tried to play them, I found myself more frustrated than not. But that's just my opinion. Plenty of folks have their own reasons why they love The Legend of Zelda, and the different reasons why they want to get into those games, and how they got into those games. Mine is just a bit different from other folks, but at the same time, it's all wonderful because The Legend of Zelda is wonderful, and I look forward to sharing those experiences with you as we get ready for the newest game. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe so that you're notified once we do begin our journey to Tears of the Kingdom. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time.